What we offer is around 50 hours of PD, and we recommend spreading it out between 2 and 3 years. So what typically would happen is maybe the first year we'll come out once per quarter to do a 6-hour PD session. And we'll do that for 2 years straight, let's say. And in those times when we come out there, we will, if the PD's on like a Wednesday, we'll come out on like Tuesday and Thursday to do site visits and model teaching and peer observation and things like that. So the reason why we're doing this is because we feel that a workshop model that kind of like front loads everything at the start of the year, and then you might not get anything ever again, or you might not get anything for a year, doesn't take into account the fact that you're going to try and implement some stuff, and odds are you're going to have some questions or want some clarifications after that. So what we'll do with the PD is, okay, here's some stuff that'll get you started. You can take this very next day and start working on it. And we give you enough content that you're going to be busy for a long time, or can be at least, in terms of projects and lessons. But when we come back, let's say a month or two from now, you're going to have some questions, so feel free to ask them, and we'll kind of unpack them more, and then we'll go a little bit further and dive a little bit deeper. Rather than overwhelming you with learning multiple programming languages and platforms and learning the pedagogy behind how to implement them and thinking about, okay, how do we connect these into other content areas and blah, blah, blah. Like the way computer science education and coding in particular is typically taught from a professional development standpoint is we're asking you to teach something in, let's say, Mandarin, but you've never heard, seen, or spoken Mandarin before, ever, in any kind of scenario. And we want you to, by the way, integrate that Mandarin into other content areas. And that's going to be a little bit difficult to do, especially if, okay, we're going to teach you as much Mandarin as possible in a week, and then have fun. You should be good for the rest of your teaching career with doing that. It's just not going to go well, in my opinion. So we like to distribute it throughout at least 1 year, preferably 2 or more years. We like to do the site visits and the model teaching because sometimes when we're modeling stuff in a PD, some teachers are like, yeah, but I don't know if this would work well with my kids. Like when we talk about choice-based and facilitation practices and things like that. And so when we actually go into the classroom and show, okay, here's what this looks like with your kids, then for some teachers, they go, oh, it can be done. I can actually do this thing because now I've seen my kids do it really well. The peer observation stuff that we do is helpful because teachers need to learn from each other. So we recommend like recording other lessons and kind of sharing that and discussing it. Oh, why did you do it this way? Or how did you do it this way? It's just a good PLC, professional learning community kind of thing to do. One of the things that we also like to do with our professional development is have an instructional coach for the district. And that's kind of the person who's going to oversee what's going on in terms of the implementation and kind of be the in-house guide for the current and future teachers. Because what we want to do is make the program sustainable. So when we leave in 1 or 2 or sometimes 3 years, we don't want you to ever have to call us back up and go, okay, we need to do that same thing that you did, and you're going to do it with this new cohort of teachers. So as we're going through the PD process, our PD facilitators will do this gradual release where by our third PD, the instructional coach is going to be like help facilitating and asking questions and leading projects. And then by the final PD, the coach should be able to kind of run the PD sessions on their own because we want it to be sustainable and we want to make it so that a district can continue to learn and stay up to date with computer science education by the time we leave. So that's kind of like a higher level, our main things that we do.
Yeah, I particularly love that idea that like you're going to, as you teach this stuff, have more questions.
Right.
So being there when the more questions pop up is particularly useful.
Yeah, to know that you have that support is important for a lot of teachers. So we've done independent research on like self-efficacy of the teachers and whatnot to ensure that they are feeling more confident in what they're doing and that they are more comfortable with teaching the subject area. Because for most of the teachers that we work with, it's a subject area that they've never even seen before. And it's this scary thing that gets overhyped and people think, oh, well, only certain kinds of people can do programming. I can't do programming because I've never done it before. And it's like, well, I mean, If we can get kindergartners to do it, then certainly we can help you how to do it.
This excerpt was from episode 13 of the CSK8 podcast titled AI for All, Curriculum Development and Gender Discourse with Sarah Judd, which you can find on any podcast platform just by searching for CSK8 podcast or by simply going to jaredoleary.com, where you'll find hundreds more podcast episodes on computer science education.